Corporate strategy relies on mitigating risk, and the primary tool for reducing that risk is market research, the systematic collection of consumer intelligence. Historically, gathering this intelligence required active intervention. Researchers had to design a survey, locate respondents, and manually extract answers at a specific point in time. This system was bounded by physical limitations. Data collection relied heavily on centralized, localized call centers, where human operators conducted thousands of manual telephone interviews. Because the data was captured in an isolated snapshot, it offered a static picture. Companies were blind to how consumer behavior shifted in the days, months, or years between those discrete interventions. As supply chains and consumer bases globalized, the demand for multinational intelligence scaled up rapidly. The manual model could not keep pace with global markets. Simultaneously, the expansion of early internet networks introduced a new layer of digital infrastructure. Once that connectivity migrated to ubiquitous, pocket-sized mobile devices, the physical constraints of the legacy model collapsed. Consumers were now permanently connected. This permanently shifted the industry's methodology. Rather than relying on active interrogation, researchers could pivot to continuous, passive observation. The modern insight stack relies less on drafting the perfect survey question and more on architecting automated systems capable of tracking a constant stream of data. The raw fuel driving this quantitative engine is the exponential growth of digital information, commonly termed big data. This massive volume of information enables passive or inferred research methodologies. These systems collect behavioral data continuously without interrupting the user. Every action an individual takes online leaves a digital footprint, generating a continuous pipeline of behavioral metrics. Instead of mailing questionnaires, companies now deploy opted-in mobile trackers and background browser cookies. These mechanisms passively harvest exact session durations, specific search queries, and the hidden digital paths users take before making a purchase. Compared to traditional customer satisfaction surveys, which suffer from inherent time lags and the unreliability of human memory, this data is exact and immediate. This immediacy extends to social media monitoring, which serves as the premier tool for harvesting real-time brand sentiment. The primary technical bottleneck here is the sheer volume of background noise. Researchers must apply strict Boolean filters to isolate genuine brand sentiment from irrelevant conversational chatter. Quantitative intelligence has evolved from a carefully orchestrated, localized event into a continuous ambient utility. Qualitative research underwent a similar evolution. Historically, exploring consumer attitudes required gathering small groups of people in highly localized, physical focus group environments. The modern replacement for these isolated sessions is the longitudinal online community. These digital networks operate on a massive scale, managing anywhere from 50 to 500 members in B2B sectors, and scaling up to thousands for consumer markets. The strategic advantage is the ability to track organic shifts in consumer attitudes over continuous months or years, rather than capturing reactions in an artificial vacuum. However, this continuous dialogue creates a critical system failure point, an overwhelming, constant influx of unstructured verbatim text. Raw text flowing at this velocity is unusable for analysis until it is rapidly sorted into rigid data structures. This diagram shows how researchers deploy text analytics and automated coding frames. These algorithms extract specific themes and emotional sentiment directly from the chaos. Qualitative insight is no longer constrained by the limits of manual human interpretation. It operates through continuous, automated extraction. Despite these passive pipelines, certain insights still require direct questioning, but the modern insight stack faces a severe vulnerability in its active survey layer. Scaling digital data requests has placed a heavy psychological toll on the public, leading to widespread respondent fatigue. The statistical consequences of this fatigue are severe. Response rates plummet, and frustrated users begin flatlining their answers, clicking the same response repeatedly just to finish, generating garbage-quality data. To salvage data integrity, the industry adopted gamification as a structural intervention for this failing collection model. Traditional, tedious 1 to 10 rating scales are actively being replaced by questionnaire architecture rooted in game design. For example, instead of a standard rating matrix, a respondent might be presented with a scenario-based evaluation, acting as an investor judging a pitch for a new product concept. By reframing the user interface, the survey forces active cognitive engagement. It bypasses the respondent's mental autopilot. In an over-researched world, interactive survey design operates as a structural requirement to guarantee accurate responses. The shift toward automated, passive data systems has reorganized the economics of the entire insights industry. The proliferation of automated panel tools and inexpensive cloud computing has drastically lowered the barrier to entry for corporate intelligence gathering. This has given rise to the DIY researcher. Employees inside smaller firms can now execute complex surveys directly, bypassing centralized research departments. As commodity-level research moves to these cheap DIY tools, the revenue that once sustained mid-sized generalist agencies is drying up. Managing global panels and massive data infrastructure requires immense capital, causing the market to polarize into a barbell distribution. On the heavy end, massive consolidation has created 6 global megafirms that control 40% of the total industry revenue. On the opposite end, there is an explosion of hyper-specialized niche practitioners, independent data scripters, CADI system managers, and visualization experts. The practice of market research has transitioned completely from a labor-intensive, localized cottage industry into a highly automated digital ecosystem. Navigating corporate strategy today requires understanding this polarized landscape, where market intelligence relies on architecting continuous data pipelines rather than simply asking the right questions.